Hi friends, it's story time. Today we are going to read The Three Little Javelinas. And this is written by Susan Lau, she's the author, and it's illustrated by Jim Harris. He draws the pictures. Now friends, I want you to look at the cover of this book. And javelinas is another name for a pig, so it's a type of pig in Spanish, javelina. So do you know another story that has 3 pigs in it? And we read it last week. Do you remember that story? If you said the 3 little pigs, you're right. This is the 3 little javelinas. So I wonder how this is going to be similar to the 3 little pigs book that we read. Let's find out what happens in this book about the 3 little javelinas. Once upon a time, way out in the desert, there were 3 little javelinas. Javelinas are wild, hairy, southwestern cousins of pigs. Their heads were hairy, and their backs were hairy, and their bony legs all the way down to their hard little hooves were very hairy, but their snouts were soft and pink. One day, the 3 little javelinas trotted away to seek their fortunes. In this hot, dry land, the sky was almost always blue. Steep purple mountains looked down on the desert, where the cactus forests grew. So see the cactus? They are plants that can survive in the really, really hot weather because they hold a lot of water. Soon the little javelinas came to a spot where the path divided and each one went a different way. The first little javelina wandered lazily along. He didn't see a dust storm whirling across the desert until it caught him. He's caught in the storm. The whirlwind blew away and left the first little javelina sitting in a heap of tumbleweeds. Brushing himself off, he said, "I'll build a house with them." And in no time at all, he did. He built his house of tumbleweeds. Do you see all the tumbleweeds? It's like straw and dirt. Then along came a coyote. He ran through the desert so quickly and so quietly that he was almost invisible. In fact, this was only one of the coyote's magical tricks. He laughed when he saw the tumbleweed house and smelled the javelina inside. A tender, juicy piggy, he thought. Coyote was tired of eating mice and rabbits. What is he doing? Who does this remind you of? Reminds me of the wolf and the 3 little pigs. He called out sweetly, little pig, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," shouted the first javelina, who had a lot of hair on his chinny chin chin. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll," do you know what he says? "Blow your house in," said the coyote. And he huffed and he puffed and he blew the little tumbleweed house away. But in all the hullabaloo, the first javelina escaped and then went looking for his brother and sister. Coyote, who was very sneaky, tiptoed along behind him. The second javelina walked 4 miles among giant cactus plants called saguaros. They held their red ripe fruit high in the sky, but they made almost no shade. And the little javelina grew hot. Look at him. He's wiping the sweat from his head. He's hot in the desert. Then he came upon a Native American woman who was gathering sticks from inside the dried up cactus. She planned to use these long sticks called saguaro ribs to knock down the sweet cactus fruit. The second javelina said, "Please may I have some sticks to build a house?" "Hayao," she said, which means yes in the language of the desert people. Look, they're sleeping in their sick house. When he was finished building his house, he laid down in the shade. Then his brother arrived, panting from the heat, and the second little javelina moved over and made a place for him. So there was the brother that had built the tumbleweed house that was blown down by the coyote. Pretty soon the coyote found the saguaro's rib house. He used his magic to make his voice sound just like another javelina's. Little pig, let me come in, he called. But the little javelinas were suspicious. That means they weren't believing that it was somebody that they knew. The second one cried, no, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Bah, thought the coyote, I'm not going to eat your hair. Then the coyote smiled, showing all of his sharp teeth. I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. So he huffed and he puffed, and all the saguaro ribs came tumbling down. Oh my gosh, look, they're running. But the two little javelinas escaped into the desert. Still not discouraged, Coyote followed. Sometimes his magic did fail, but then he usually came up with another trick. So he's going to follow them now. Where do you think they're going? The third little javelina trotted through the beautiful Palo Verde trees. With the green trunks and yellow flowers, she saw a snake sliding by, smooth as oil. A hawk floated round and round above her, and then she came to a place where a man was making adobe bricks from mud and straw. The bricks laid on the ground, baking in the hot sun. So the hot sun baked the bricks. The third javelina thought for a moment. She said, may I please have a few adobes to build a house? Sí, answered the man, which means yes in Spanish, the brickmaker's language. He said, sí, you can have some of my adobe bricks. The third javelina built herself a solid little adobe house, cool in the summer and warm in the winter. When her brothers found her, she welcomed them in and locked the door behind them. The coyote followed their trail. So look, can you see the adobe house that she built? It looks nice and strong, doesn't it? And then there are her brothers. Little pig, let me come in, he called. The three little javelinas looked out the window. This time Coyote pretended to be very old and weak, with no teeth and a sore paw, but they were not fooled. No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin, called back the third little javelina. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in, said the coyote. He grinned, thinking of the wild pig dinner to come. Just try it, shouted the third little javelina. So Coyote huffed, and he puffed, but the adobe bricks did not budge. Again, the coyote tried. I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. The three little javelinas covered their hairy ears, but nothing happened. The javelinas peeked out the window. Uh-oh. The tip of the coyote's raggedy tail whisked right past their noses. He was climbing up on the tin roof. Next, the coyote used his magic to make himself very skinny. The stovepipe, gasped the third little javelina. Quickly, she lighted a fire inside of her wood stove that connected to the chimney that the coyote was about to go down. What a feast it will be, the coyote said to himself. He squeezed into this tiny stovepipe. I think I'll eat them with red-hot chili sauce. Whoosh! Sizzle, sizzle. What do you think happened? Then the three little javelinas heard an amazing noise. It was not a bark, it was not a cackle, it was not a howl, it was not a scream. It was all of those sounds together. Yip, yap, yip, yow! Away ran a puff of smoke shaped like a coyote. What do you think happened when he went down the chimney? Didn't they build a fire in there? Must have burned him, and there's the smoke. It was hot. The three little javelinas lived happily ever after in the adobe house, and if you ever hear a coyote's voice way out in the desert at night, well, you know what he's remembering. So they all lived in the adobe house, built with the strong adobe bricks that the third little javelina built. And the coyote Could not blow that one down, right? Was that the strongest material that was used to build the house? Kind of like in the Three Little Pigs. Okay, friends, I hope you enjoyed the book about the javelinas. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.